First of all, I have to thank Lucia, where is she? Lucia and Mishka and, I forgot your name. Carmel. For assisting us in the procession. Those of you who came a few seconds late, you sort of missed it. We processed the three kings from the entrance to the stable, the place where we have Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And it's funny because you figure in the middle of Jerusalem, Bethlehem, what is this family going to do with gold, frankincense, and myrrh? The gold, okay, you can get an idea what they can do with that. Frankincense and myrrh, frankincense is for gods, to adore God as we incense the altar. It's very reminiscent of what we do as we worship God and our prayers go to heaven, to God. And myrrh, that's an anointment for the body at the end of the person's life. So what is this holy family going to do with these three gifts? But it just so happens that their action fulfilled the scriptures, as you heard from Isaiah. But what's more reasonable to understand that two of the people who processed up were women, and one was Misha, a little boy. And when they went over, they weren't told where to put the statues. They just put them there where you think they would be. And Misha put his king down, and the women put theirs down. And then the women started moving things around, moving the little wrapping that is on baby Jesus, and moving the cloth that is under the table, and they're arranging things. And I thought, you know, if the three magi were three women, that would have happened. They wouldn't have brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They would have brought a nice casserole. They would have brought diapers. They would have brought warm clothing for baby Jesus. But because they are women, what they did is reminiscent that everybody is called to bring something to God. Everyone, men, women, black, white, any nation throughout the world, because today is the manifestation, big word, the showing off of the Messiah to the world, to the Gentiles, to everyone. How appropriate that here, this particular parish, is sort of a manifestation of our world. From all different parts of the world, we come together as Catholics today to worship Jesus, to honor him. Even the voices of children sing in our ears as we gather at the Lord's table, as the child would have sung in the ears of his mother and father, or for the Magi when they came. Jesus historically was not an infant in the crib when the Magi came. They probably arrived around 5 years, 6 years later. So that's why they went to his home once Herod was out of the picture. What did they do to get there? Well, scientists say, they were all up in confusion. Some astrologists say, well, it was a nova. Well, it was a new moon, or it was the Saturn crossing Venus, or I don't know astrology. Up there, they were saying scientific responses to what the Magi, these astrologers from the East, were doing and what they were following. They were following God's will. As it comes to them in a star, a nova, some sort of constellation, as it came to them, they followed God's will. And as they followed God's will, we hear from the Holy Scriptures that there was a character who was not too favorable to Jesus, Herod. While they are following God's will and bringing joy to a baby and his family, Herod is probably the first century abortionist. Herod kills all babies that are all boys that are 3 years and younger, because he was afraid of losing his throne. And the foretelling from the scriptures, from Micah, the prophet, is that the new Messiah, the new king, would be born in Bethlehem. So he's upset. He's upset by the threat of this child taking over his throne. A negative light in the voyage to Christ. And there are many negative lights on our voyage to Christ in our own lives. Mary looks to the son that was promised, and the confusion that had to brew over in her heart through the years of his expectancy, his birth, and then later on, these characters with magnificent gifts, probably all decked out, bells and slaves and people with them, just to go to their humble house and bring concrete gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And Mary ponders these things in her heart. The light that she's following is right there in front of her in the child Jesus. I have a question for all of us. What is the light? Who is the light that leads each one of us to Christ? Who is that person in your life that you focus on? Let's put it in the realm of you're being impressed by this person. You're so taken up with this person. You love this person. And you're focused on this person to do anything for you, and you will do anything for that person. That person's a light in your life. He or she gives you joy, causes you to double your joy with a smile and with a kiss and with a sharing. Or even quietly alone, you and he or she just enjoy the light of the relationship. That person can lead you to Christ. That person can be the light that brings you closer to what love is all about. And John tells us in his epistles, God is love. You want to know love? God. And from that verse that I'll paraphrase and not quote correctly from Les Mis, the person who loves sees the face of God. So Mary is being led to the star by her own love for her son. But you and I, who's the person that leads you to God? Who's the person that gets you to know what love is all about, so that after that relationship, you can go out and bring love into the world? Who's the person that can lead us to God? Herod. As negative a person as he was, he led many people to God. Because of his negativity and his hate and his anger, people could not approach him. And the Magi themselves didn't return to him. They took another route to get home. He led them to God in his negativity. So even sin can lead us to God. Once we face it and know what it is and decide not to follow it, sin can lead us to the star of light of Jesus Christ. There are many people in our lives, people who are ignored on the street as we walk by. They can lead us to the light of Jesus Christ. Because Jesus reminds us he came for all people. This is not just another holiday in the Christmas season. This is the manifestation of the Christos, the Messiah, to the world. Black, white, red, yellow, any language you can imagine. Is today the reminder that the people in the street, our neighbors, people on the bus or on the tram, can lead us to know the light of Christ more, as I appreciate him or her, as I am polite and civil to him or her, as I respect him or her, I can be brought into the light of Christ, the star of heaven, Jesus Christ. They read the signs of the times, didn't they? The astrologers. And some say it took a long time for them to arrive. Maybe that's why we think they didn't arrive until baby Jesus was like 6 or something. It took a long time to read the signs of the times. So don't think it's going to happen immediately. As soon as I go out of church today, I say, I'm going to use every person I come across as a way of getting closer to the light, Jesus Christ, the star of my faith. It'll happen. with patience and understanding. It'll happen. When I give a cup of coffee, a glass of water, a piece of clothing, in the name of my Lord, I'm getting closer to him, the light of my faith. Who leads us to know the light of Jesus Christ? Who leads us to the stars of heaven? I don't mean the astrological stars. I mean the star that we're talking about today, Jesus Christ. Who can lead us? A child? The beautiful voice of a baby? The creativity of Misha and Timko as they bring the baby Jesus up to the crib? There's so many resources that we have around us. Our elderly parents. Judy's mother was here the other day, and at the end of Mass, I had heard her sing on YouTube. Beautiful voice. I don't know how she is. How old she is. She's old. I mean, she's older than me, let's put it that way. So she's really old. So she was talking to me in the back, and she has a very, very thick accent, and she speaks low, of course. Why not have an accent, speak low, so the hearer can really, really struggle? And I'm listening to her. But what I did get from what she said, besides praying for her son, I did get, and whenever you want me to sing in church, I'll sing. And what I heard her singing on YouTube was the Ave Maria. Now, that little gesture from, and I'm going to quote, the little old lady, barely understood, can lead us, let me give you person to person, led me closer to Christ. Led me closer to appreciate the simplicity of this woman who her first language is not English, but she's courageous enough to share her thoughts, her prayers, and her talent with her priest. That can't lead you to Christ. It led me to Christ. It led me to realize what a gift. And maybe someday during the weekday masses, I'll ask her to sing her heart out. See how many opportunities we have to follow the star that leads to Jesus Christ? In the poor, in the wealthy, in justice, in negative actions that inspire us to pray for peace in our country, peace in our community, justice in our world. See, even negativity can lead us to the star, Jesus Christ. Don't forget what the scriptures foretold about the prince of evil, Satan, that the foot of Mary would crush his head. So even Satan can inspire us to pray to Mary and ask Mary, the dear mother of Jesus Christ, to lead us closer to him and find him in the signs of the times every day in our own lives. Happy Feast of the Epiphany doesn't flow out as easily as Happy Feast of the manifestation of all of us to one another and God to us.